You're at the altar, in your wedding dress, and the love of your life has just sent a text message. I'm leaving, but you deserve better. Instead of collapsing, you walk out onto the street, and that's where your story truly begins. Because the worst day of Emma Chen's life was, in fact, her redirection to the love she always needed. Sometimes the worst moment of your life is actually the doorway to something extraordinary. Sometimes being abandoned leads you to the person you were always meant to find. If you've ever felt betrayed, heartbroken, or completely lost, this story is for you. And trust me, you'll want to stay until the end, because what happens next will restore your faith in love. But before we dive in, do me a favor. Hit that like button right now. It helps us share more stories like Emma's with people who need to hear them. Now, let me take you back to the moment everything changed. The morning sun filtered through the lace curtains of the bridal suite at the Rosewood estate, casting delicate patterns across the ivory wedding dress hanging on the door. Emma Chen sat perfectly still in the makeup chair, her heart hammering against her ribs while the stylist worked on her hair. "You're going to be the most beautiful bride," her sister Michelle said, adjusting Emma's veil with trembling fingers. But Emma noticed the worry in Michelle's eyes, the way her smile didn't quite reach them. Emma had noticed a lot of things lately. The way her fiancé Victoria had been distant for weeks. The hushed phone calls that ended abruptly when Emma entered the room. The excuses about working late that smelled suspiciously like someone else's perfume. But today was their wedding day. Today, all those doubts would disappear. Today, Victoria would say "I do," and they'd start there forever. "Has anyone heard from Victoria?" Emma asked, trying to keep her voice steady. The room went quiet. Too quiet. Michelle exchanged glances with the bridesmaids. "I'm sure she's just, you know how she is, always running fashionably late." Emma checked her phone for the 100th time. No messages, no calls, just silence. "Maybe I should call her again," Emma whispered, reaching for her phone. "No!" Michelle grabbed her hand, perhaps too quickly. "No, it's bad luck for the bride and groom, brides, to talk before the ceremony. She'll be here, she promised." But Michelle's voice cracked on the word promised, and Emma felt her stomach twist into knots. The garden ceremony space was breathtaking. White roses and peonies draped every surface. Soft classical music played from hidden speakers. 200 guests sat in elegant white chairs, murmuring quietly as the minutes ticked by. Emma stood in the bride's room, fully dressed, bouquet trembling in her hands. The ceremony was supposed to start 20 minutes ago. Her mother paced near the window, phone pressed to her ear. Victoria's not answering. None of her bridesmaids are answering either. "Maybe there's traffic," Emma's father offered weakly. But they all knew. Deep down, they all knew. Emma walked to the window, looking out at the waiting guests. She saw her colleagues from the architecture firm, her college friends, Victoria's business partners, all of them checking their watches, whispering behind their hands. Then her phone buzzed. Finally. A text from Victoria. But as Emma read the words on her screen, the room started spinning. "I'm sorry. I can't do this. I'm with Clarissa now. We're at the airport. Don't try to find me. I'm sorry it had to be this way. You deserve better." Attached was a photo. Victoria and Clarissa, Victoria's business partner, holding hands in front of a departure gate, both grinning like they'd just won the lottery. The phone slipped from Emma's fingers, clattering on the marble floor. "Emma!" Michelle rushed over. "What is it? What did she say?" But Emma couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. The room was closing in, the walls pressing against her chest. "She's gone," Emma finally whispered. "She's gone with Clarissa." The color drained from Michelle's face. "What? No, that can't be. She left me." Emma's voice was hollow, mechanical. "On our wedding day, she left me." If you're feeling Emma's pain right now, drop a comment below. Have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted completely? You're not alone. Emma had two choices: hide in this room forever, or walk out there and face 200 pitying stares. She chose to walk. Her father offered his arm, but Emma shook her head. I need to do this alone. The moment she stepped through the doors, the whispers exploded into a roar of hushed voices. Every head turned. Every eye locked on her. Emma walked down that aisle, not toward a future with Victoria, but toward an uncertain, terrifying unknown. Her white gown felt like a costume now, a cruel joke. I'm sorry to inform everyone that there won't be a wedding today, Emma announced when she reached the altar, her voice surprisingly steady. Victoria has chosen not to attend. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Someone whispered loudly, I knew it. Emma's mother started crying. Her father looked like he wanted to punch someone, but Emma just stood there, numb, watching her carefully constructed life crumble like a sand castle at high tide. Thank you all for coming, she continued, each word feeling like swallowing glass. There will be no reception. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Saturday. And then she walked, past the pitying stares, past the whispers, past her sobbing mother and stone-faced father. She just walked. She didn't stop at the bridal suite to change. She didn't stop to collect her things. She just kept walking, her wedding dress trailing behind her like a ghost, until she was outside the estate, on the sidewalk, completely and utterly alone. The late afternoon sun felt too bright, too cheerful for this moment. Cars passed by, their occupants staring at the bride walking alone down a random street, mascara streaking her face, bouquet still clutched in her white-knuckled grip. Emma didn't know where she was going. She just knew she couldn't stay there, surrounded by the wreckage of her dreams. Emma had been walking for 20 minutes when her feet started screaming in protest. These delicate satin heels weren't designed for urban hiking, but she couldn't stop. If she stopped, she'd have to feel everything. And she wasn't ready for that yet. She found herself in a neighborhood she didn't recognize. Tree-lined streets, small cafes, a world away from the manicured luxury of the Rosewood estate. That's when she heard the voice. Excuse me? Are you okay? Emma turned to find a woman standing a few feet away, concern etched across her warm, open face. She was maybe Emma's age, early 30s, with kind brown eyes and an easy smile that seemed to come naturally. She wore simple clothes, jeans, a soft gray sweater, worn sneakers, and carried a reusable shopping bag filled with groceries. She was, in every way, the opposite of Victoria's polished corporate perfection. I'm fine, Emma lied automatically. The woman tilted her head, her eyes taking in Emma's wedding dress, her smudged makeup, her death grip on the now wilting bouquet. You don't look fine. You look like you're about to collapse. I'm not going to. Emma swayed slightly, and the woman rushed forward, steadying her with gentle hands. When's the last time you ate? The woman asked softly. Emma blinked. Ate? Had she eaten? She couldn't remember. The pre-wedding nerves had killed her appetite for days. I don't know, Emma admitted. The woman glanced around, then gestured to a small park bench a few feet away. Sit, please. Before you faint in that dress, and I have to explain to the paramedics why I didn't stop a bride in distress. Something about her matter-of-fact kindness cut through Emma's shock. She let herself be guided to the bench, sinking onto it with a sigh of relief. Her feet thanked her immediately. The woman sat beside her, maintaining a respectful distance. I'm Riley, by the way. Riley Torres. Emma, she whispered. Emma Chen. Riley pulled a bottle of water and a granola bar from her grocery bag. I know it's not much, but it's something. Emma stared at the offerings like they were foreign objects. When was the last time someone had taken care of her without wanting something in return? Thank you, Emma said, accepting the water with trembling hands. They sat in silence for a moment while Emma sipped the water, feeling it soothe her parched throat. Riley didn't push, didn't pry. She just sat there, a quiet presence in the storm. Finally, Riley spoke. "So? Rough wedding?" Emma laughed. Actually laughed. A harsh, broken sound that turned into a sob halfway through. "You could say that. My fiancé decided to skip it entirely. She's currently on a plane with someone else." "Shit," Riley said quietly. I'm so sorry." "Everyone's sorry," Emma said bitterly. "Sorry doesn't change anything." "No," Riley agreed. "It doesn't. But maybe that's okay too." Emma turned to look at her. Really look at her. "What do you mean?" Riley leaned back, gazing up at the trees swaying overhead. "I mean, maybe some things aren't meant to be changed. Maybe some things are meant to fall apart so something better can take their place." "That sounds like something from a self-help book," Emma muttered. Riley grinned. "Probably. I read a lot of those after my ex left me." Emma's heart squeezed. "You too?" "Different circumstances. But yeah, she decided I wasn't ambitious enough, successful enough, impressive enough. Apparently, being a community center social worker doesn't quite measure up to being a corporate lawyer." There was no bitterness in Riley's voice, just acceptance. And something else, peace, maybe. "How did you get over it?" Emma asked desperately. Riley turned to face her, and Emma was struck by the warmth in her eyes. "Who says I'm over it? Healing isn't a destination, Emma. It's a journey. Some days are better than others. But I learned something important. Being left doesn't mean you're not enough. It means they weren't ready for everything you are." Emma felt tears sliding down her cheeks again. "I don't feel like enough right now. I feel like nothing." "You're not nothing," Riley said firmly. "You're someone who had the strength to walk out of that venue with your head high. You're someone who's still standing even when everything fell apart. That's not nothing, Emma. That's everything." Something in Emma's chest loosened slightly. Just slightly, but it was enough. "I don't even know where to go," Emma admitted. "I can't go home. Victoria and I live together. I can't face my family right now. I don't know what to do." Riley was quiet for a moment, then said carefully, "I know we just met, and you have zero reason to trust me. But I have a spare room. It's small, and the building's old, but it's clean and safe. You could crash there tonight. Give yourself time to figure things out." Emma's first instinct was to refuse. She didn't accept charity. She didn't rely on strangers. But then again, the person she'd trusted most in the world had just destroyed her life. Maybe strangers were actually safer. "Why would you do that?" Emma asked. "You don't even know me." Riley smiled softly. "Because 6 months ago, I was where you are, and a stranger helped me. So now I'm passing it forward." She stood up, extending her hand. "Can I walk with you?" Emma looked at that outstretched hand, calloused, real, offering something no one else had today. Simple human kindness with no strings attached. She took it. "Yes," Emma whispered. "Please." And just like that, everything changed. But here's where it gets interesting. Emma had no idea who Riley really was, or how this one simple act of kindness would transform both their lives forever. Keep watching. Riley's apartment was nothing like the sleek, modern penthouse Emma had shared with Victoria. It was a third-floor walk-up in a building that had seen better days, with creaky stairs and peeling paint in the hallway. But when Riley opened the door, Emma stepped into something unexpected. Warmth. The apartment was small but cozy, filled with mismatched furniture that somehow worked together perfectly. Bookshelves lined every wall, overflowing with novels and social work textbooks. Plants crowded the windowsills. Photos of smiling people covered the refrigerator. Kids from the community center, Riley explained. "It's not much," Riley said, setting her groceries down. "But it's home." Emma stood in the middle of the living room, still in her wedding dress, feeling completely out of place. "It's perfect," she heard herself say, and she meant it. Riley showed her to the spare room, really just a converted storage space with a twin bed and a small dresser. "Bathroom's down the hall. I'll find you some clothes that actually fit. That dress looks like it weighs a ton." 20 minutes later, Emma emerged in borrowed sweatpants and an oversized hoodie, her makeup finally washed away, her hair down from its elaborate wedding style. She looked in the bathroom mirror and barely recognized herself. Maybe that was okay. She found Riley in the kitchen, cooking something that smelled incredible. "I make a mean stir-fry," Riley said over her shoulder. "Hope you're hungry now." They ate at Riley's tiny kitchen table, and Emma discovered she was ravenous. The food was simple but delicious. Vegetables, rice, some kind of amazing sauce Riley had made from scratch. "This is really good," Emma said, surprised. Riley grinned. "Cooking's my therapy, that and running." "I was supposed to be a wife by now," Emma said suddenly, the words tumbling out. "We had plans. A honeymoon in Bali. Starting to look for a house in the suburbs. Maybe adopting a dog. I had my whole life mapped out. And now," Riley asked gently, "now I have nothing." "No," Riley corrected. "Now you have a blank canvas." "That's terrifying, yes, but it's also kind of amazing. You get to decide what comes next. Not Victoria. Not your family's expectations. You." Emma set down her fork. "I don't know who I am without her." "Then this is your chance to find out." Emma intended to stay one night. One night turned into 3. 3 turned into a week. Riley never pushed her to leave. Never made her feel like a burden. She just existed alongside Emma, offering quiet support, while Emma figured out her next steps. During the day, Riley went to work at the community center. Emma, on indefinite leave from her architecture firm, spent hours walking the neighborhood, thinking, processing, slowly coming back to life. She called Michelle once, enduring her sister's tearful relief and concerned questions. She ignored 17 calls from her mother. She blocked Victoria's number after the 3rd "I'm sorry, but I had to follow my heart" text message. And every evening, she came back to Riley's apartment, where they'd cook dinner together and talk. They talked about everything. Emma learned that Riley had grown up in the Bronx, worked 3 jobs to put herself through college, and dedicated her life to helping at-risk youth. Riley learned that Emma had always wanted to be an architect, had been the first in her family to graduate from an Ivy League school, and secretly loved trashy reality TV. "You? Reality TV." Riley teased one evening as they watched a particularly dramatic episode of a dating show. "It's mindless," Emma defended. "I don't have to think." "Fair enough." Riley threw a piece of popcorn at her, and Emma threw one back, and suddenly they were both laughing, really laughing, and Emma realized this was the first time she'd felt genuinely happy in months, maybe even years. It happened gradually, then all at once. Emma started noticing small things about Riley. The way she hummed while cooking. The way her eyes crinkled when she smiled. The way she always saved the last cookie for Emma. The way she listened, really listened, when Emma spoke, like every word mattered. One evening, 2 weeks after the non-wedding, Emma was helping Riley fold laundry when their hands accidentally touched, reaching for the same towel. It was nothing, just a brief contact. But Emma felt it like electricity, a spark that traveled from her fingertips straight to her heart. She pulled back quickly, confused by her own reaction. This was Riley. Riley, who'd saved her. Riley, who'd given her a place to stay. Riley, her friend. Except, was that all Riley was? Emma watched Riley continue folding towels, completely unaware of the crisis happening in Emma's mind. When had Riley stopped being just the kind stranger and become this? This person Emma thought about first thing in the morning. This person whose laugh made Emma's day better. This person Emma caught herself staring at when she thought Riley wasn't looking. Oh no. Oh no. 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 Emma was falling for Riley. The realization hit her like a truck. She just escaped one relationship disaster. She couldn't be falling for someone new. She couldn't be falling for the person who'd shown her nothing but kindness and friendship. This was a terrible idea. But as Riley looked up and smiled at her, that warm, genuine smile that Emma had come to treasure, Emma knew it was already too late. Drop a heart emoji in the comments if you've ever caught feelings for someone at the absolute worst possible time. We see you. Emma tried to fight it. She really did. She started looking for apartments, telling Riley it was time she got her own place. But every apartment felt wrong, too cold, too sterile, too not Riley's cozy warmth. She threw herself into work, returning to the architecture firm and burying herself in projects. But even drafting building designs, she found herself thinking about Riley's community center, about how Riley had mentioned it needed renovations, about how Emma could help. She tried dating. Michelle set her up with a nice woman named Jennifer who worked in finance. Jennifer was perfect on paper, successful, attractive, available. But halfway through dinner, Emma realized she was comparing everything Jennifer said to things Riley would say, and Jennifer fell short every single time. "You're not over Victoria yet," Jennifer said kindly as they parted ways. "I can tell." But that wasn't the problem. The problem was, Emma was very much over Victoria. The problem was, she was very much into someone else, someone who probably only saw her as a friend, someone who'd taken her in when she was broken and probably pitied her, someone she absolutely could not tell about these feelings. Emma finally visited Riley at work. The Bronx Community Center was a 3-story brick building that had seen better days, but inside, it was filled with life. Kids played basketball in the gym. Teens clustered around computers. Elderly people attended an art class. And in the middle of it all was Riley, somehow everywhere at once, breaking up an argument between 2 boys, helping a grandmother with paperwork, organizing donations in the food pantry. Emma watched her, something warm and aching blooming in her chest. "Emma?" Riley spotted her and lit up. "You came? Let me give you the tour." As Riley walked her through the center, pointing out different programs and introducing her to staff and regulars, Emma felt something shift into place. This was Riley's world. This was where she belonged, what she was passionate about, and it was beautiful. "The building's falling apart," Riley admitted as they stood in the basement, looking at a water-stained ceiling. "We need a complete renovation, but we can't afford an architect, let alone construction. The board's talking about selling the building and merging with another center across town. But this neighborhood needs this place. These kids need it." Emma looked around the shabby space, her architect's eye immediately cataloging needed repairs and possible improvements. "What if I helped?" Riley blinked. "What?" "What if I did the renovation design pro bono? And I could probably get my firm to donate some of the construction costs as a tax write-off. I'd have to present it to the partners, but Emma, that would be incredible. But I can't ask you to. You're not asking. I'm offering." Emma smiled. "Let me do this. Please." Riley's eyes were suspiciously shiny. "You're amazing. You know that?" Emma's heart squeezed. If only Riley knew how amazing she thought Riley was. They celebrated with dinner at a small Italian restaurant in Riley's neighborhood. Nothing fancy, just checkered tablecloths and candles in wine bottles. But it felt romantic in a way Emma's elaborate dates with Victoria never had. "I can't believe you're doing this," Riley said for the 10th time, shaking her head. "The center, those kids. You have no idea what this means." "I think I do," Emma said softly. "I've watched you, Riley. I've seen how much you care, how hard you work. If I can help make that work a little easier, that's worth everything." Riley reached across the table, taking Emma's hand. "Thank you." And there it was again, that electricity, that spark. But this time, it didn't stop at Emma's fingertips. It traveled through her entire body, making her breath catch. Riley must have felt it too, because her eyes widened slightly, her fingers tightening around Emma's. They stared at each other across the candlelit table, the moment stretching, building, becoming something neither of them could ignore. Riley leaned forward slightly. Emma did too. Their faces were inches apart. Emma could see gold flecks in Riley's brown eyes, could count her eyelashes, could feel her soft breath. "Emma," Riley whispered, "I need to tell you something." "What?" Emma barely breathed the word. Riley's phone erupted with an emergency alert tone. They jerked apart. Riley grabbed her phone, her face going pale as she read the screen. "It's the center. There's been a break-in. I have to go." Just like that, the moment shattered. The break-in was minor, some local kids looking for food from the pantry. But it exposed a bigger problem. The center's security system was completely outdated, and the board was using this as another reason to sell. Emma threw herself into the renovation project, working late nights on designs that would not only fix the building but make it more secure, more functional, more beautiful. She presented to the board, to potential donors, to anyone who would listen. And through it all, Riley was there, supporting her, encouraging her, making her coffee at midnight when she was still working, falling asleep on Emma's shoulder during boring budget meetings. They never talked about that almost kiss. Both of them seemed afraid to break the fragile equilibrium they'd found. Until the night Emma found Riley crying in the center's office. "Hey," Emma said softly, closing the door behind her. "What's wrong?" Riley looked up, mascara running down her face. The board voted. "We got enough funding for basic repairs, but not the full renovation, and they're still talking about selling in 2 years if we can't increase revenue." "Then we have 2 years to prove this place is worth saving," Emma said firmly. "Why do you even care?" Riley's voice cracked. "This isn't your problem, Emma. You've already done so much. You don't owe me anything." "I don't do this because I owe you," Emma said, kneeling in front of Riley's chair. "I do this because I care about you." The words hung in the air between them. "Emma," Riley whispered. "I'm falling for you," Emma said, the truth tumbling out before she could stop it. "I know the timing is terrible. I know I just got out of a relationship. I know you probably just see me as someone you helped, and this is going to make everything weird, but I can't keep pretending. I look forward to coming home to you every day. I think about you constantly. You make me laugh. You make me want to be better. You make me feel like I'm enough just as I am. And I'm falling for you, Riley Torres. I'm falling so hard it terrifies me." Riley stared at her, tears streaming down her face. Emma's heart sank. She'd ruined everything. She'd taken this beautiful friendship and destroyed it with her inconvenient feelings. "I should go." Emma started to stand. Riley grabbed her hand, pulling her back down. "Don't." "Riley, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have." "Emma, shut up." And then Riley was kissing her. It wasn't gentle or tentative. It was desperate, hungry, months of unspoken feelings pouring into that kiss. Emma gasped against Riley's mouth, her hands coming up to tangle in Riley's hair, pulling her closer, closer, never close enough. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Riley rested her forehead against Emma's. "I've been falling for you since the day I found you on that street," Riley admitted. "But I didn't think I had the right. You were going through so much. You needed a friend, not someone taking advantage of your vulnerability." "You've never taken advantage of anything," Emma said fiercely. "You've given me everything." "I was so scared," Riley whispered. "Scared you'd go back to Victoria. Scared you'd realize you could do so much better than a broke social worker. Scared I'd fall in love with you and you'd leave like everyone else." Emma cupped Riley's face in her hands. I'm not going anywhere, and you're not just a social worker. You're the woman who saves people, starting with me." They kissed again, softer this time, sweeter, a promise instead of a question. If you're rooting for Emma and Riley, smash that like button. This is what real love looks like, folks. 6 months later, Emma officially moved into Riley's apartment. Not as a guest, but as a partner. She'd gotten her own place briefly, just to prove to herself she could stand on her own. But they'd spent every night together anyway, so the separate apartment seemed pointless. The renovation of the community center was in full swing, with Emma's firm donating significant resources and other local businesses joining in. Emma had designed something beautiful, a space that honored the center's history while bringing it into the future. And she'd done it all with Riley by her side. One evening, as they stood looking at the construction site, Riley squeezed Emma's hand. "Do you ever think about that day? About Victoria leaving you?" Emma considered the question. "Sometimes. But you know what? I'm grateful." Riley looked at her in surprise. "Grateful. If Victoria hadn't left me, I never would have been walking down that street. You never would have stopped to help me. We never would have met." Emma turned to face Riley. "Victoria leaving me was the best thing that ever happened to me, because it led me to you." Riley's eyes filled with tears. "I love you, Emma Chen. I love you too, Riley Torres." They kissed as the sun set over the Bronx, over the community center that had brought them together, over the life they were building side by side. 1 year after the worst day of Emma's life, she found herself in a wedding dress again. But this time, everything was different. The venue wasn't a fancy estate. It was the newly renovated community center, transformed into something magical with white lights and simple flowers. The guests weren't society people. They were Riley's kids from the center, Emma's colleagues, friends they'd made together, Michelle as maid of honor, and both their families. Emma's mother had taken time to come around, but seeing Emma genuinely happy had eventually won her over. "I just want you to be happy," her mother had said tearfully during the dress fitting. "And you're happy with Riley." "I really am, Mom." Now, standing in the center's main room, Emma looked at Riley waiting for her at the altar they'd set up. Riley wore a simple but elegant suit, her hair swept back, her eyes shining with love. This time, Emma wasn't nervous. This time she knew with absolute certainty that the woman waiting for her would be there, would always be there. As Emma walked down the aisle, this time with both her parents, she caught sight of Victoria in the audience. Yes, Victoria. Emma had sent her an invitation, a final peace offering. Victoria looked uncomfortable, sitting in the back with Clarissa, who looked like she'd rather be anywhere else. Their relationship had imploded after 3 months, Emma had heard. Victoria had reached out, apologizing, asking if they could talk. Emma had politely declined. She'd forgiven Victoria. You had to forgive to move forward. But she didn't need Victoria in her life. She had Riley. "Hi," Emma said when she reached the altar. "Hi," Riley replied, taking her hands. "You look beautiful. You look perfect." Their officiant, one of Riley's former professors, smiled. "We're gathered here today to witness something special. Not just a wedding, but a testament to resilience, to unexpected love, to the way tragedy can transform into triumph." Emma barely heard the words. She was too focused on Riley, on the woman who'd stopped on a street to help a stranger, who'd opened her home and her heart, who'd shown Emma what real love looked like. When it came time for vows, Riley went first. "Emma, a year ago, I saw you walking in a wedding dress, looking lost. I should have kept walking. It would have been easier, safer. But something told me to stop, to ask if you were okay, to offer whatever small help I could. I had no idea that moment would change my entire life. You've made me braver, stronger, more hopeful. You've shown me that love doesn't have to be complicated or conditional. It can be simple. Just 2 people choosing each other, Every single day. I choose you today. I'll choose you tomorrow. I'll choose you every day for the rest of our lives. Emma's turn. She pulled out the paper where she'd written her vows. But when she looked at Riley, the words disappeared. She spoke from her heart instead. Riley, you asked me, can I walk with you? That simple question saved my life. Not because you gave me a place to stay or helped me heal. You saved my life because you saw me, really saw me, when I couldn't see myself. You showed me that being abandoned doesn't mean I'm not worth loving. It means I was being redirected to someone who would love me the way I deserved. You're my home, Riley. Not a building or a city, but you. Wherever you are, that's where I belong. Thank you for walking with me. Thank you for staying. Thank you for loving me. I'll spend the rest of my life trying to love you as well as you've loved me. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. By the power vested in me, their officiant said, voice choked with emotion. I now pronounce you married. You may kiss your bride. They did. To thunderous applause and cheering from the kids who'd become part of their extended family. The reception was unlike any Emma had imagined for her wedding. It wasn't elegant or formal. It was joyful chaos, kids running around, music too loud, dancing that was more enthusiastic than skilled. It was perfect. Emma danced with Riley, with her parents, with Michelle, with the community center kids who treated her like a superhero because she'd designed their new building. At one point, she found herself face to face with Victoria, who'd apparently decided to brave the reception. Emma, Victoria said awkwardly. Congratulations. I'm really happy for you. Emma studied her ex-fiancé. Victoria looked different, older, maybe, or just less sure of herself. The corporate Polish was still there, but something underneath had dimmed. Thank you for coming, Emma said sincerely. How are you? I'm okay. Single again. Clarissa and it didn't work out. Victoria laughed bitterly. Turns out running away together isn't the same as building a life together. I'm sorry that happened. Don't be. I deserved it. I treated you terribly, Emma. I was so focused on what I thought I wanted that I couldn't see what I had. Victoria's eyes glistened. You deserved so much better than me. I know, Emma said gently. I found better. She glanced at Riley, who was across the room, laughing with a group of kids. As if sensing Emma's gaze, Riley looked up, smiled, and blew her a kiss. Emma's heart swelled. That's real love, Victoria said quietly. The way she looks at you, the way you light up when you see her. I'm sorry I couldn't give you that. Victoria, Emma said, placing a hand on her ex's arm. I forgive you. I really do. What you did hurt me terribly, but it also freed me to find Riley. So in a strange way, I'm grateful. Victoria's eyes widened. You're grateful I left you at the altar? Emma laughed. Life's weird like that, isn't it? Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you is actually the best thing. They talked a bit more, finding a tentative peace before Victoria left. Emma watched her go, feeling nothing but compassion for the woman who'd once broken her heart. Riley appeared at Emma's side, slipping an arm around her waist. You okay? I'm perfect, Emma said, turning to face her wife. Her wife. Dance with me again. Always. The dedication ceremony for the Emma Chen Riley Torres Community Center drew a huge crowd. News cameras captured the moment Emma and Riley cut the ribbon on the fully renovated building, now named in honor of both women who'd made it possible. The center was beautiful. Modern but warm, functional but welcoming. Everything Emma had envisioned and more. We did it, Riley whispered, squeezing Emma's hand. We did, Emma agreed. Inside, there was a wall of photos showing the center's transformation. But Emma's favorite photo wasn't of the building. It was of her and Riley, taken on their wedding day, both of them laughing, foreheads pressed together, completely in love. Beneath the photo was a plaque. Sometimes being abandoned on the hardest day of your life leads you to the love of your life. Sometimes a simple question, "Can I walk with you?" changes everything. This center stands as a reminder that endings are often just new beginnings in disguise. Emma and Riley stood in front of the wall, remembering that day on the street, that first awkward dinner, that slow fall into love. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if I hadn't stopped?" Riley asked. Emma pretended to think. "I probably would have walked until my feet fell off, then called Michelle to pick me up. I'd be living alone, focusing on work, maybe eventually dating someone nice but not quite right. I'd be fine, just fine, just fine." Emma turned to face Riley. "But because you stopped, because you asked if I could walk with you, I'm not just fine, I'm extraordinary. Because you're extraordinary, and you make me believe I'm extraordinary too." Riley kissed her, soft and sweet, in front of everyone gathered for the ceremony. A young girl tugged on Riley's jacket. "Miss Riley, are you and Miss Emma really married?" "We really are, Sophia." "That's so cool," Sophia said. "When I grow up, I want to marry my best friend too." Emma laughed, ruffling Sophia's hair. "That's exactly what you should do, sweetie. Marry your best friend. That's the secret to a happy life." As the ceremony continued, as Emma gave a speech about community and resilience and second chances, she looked out at the faces in the crowd. Some of them were broken, like she'd been. Some were lost. Some were searching for hope. And she thought about that day, about walking in a wedding dress down a random street, about a simple woman with a kind heart who'd asked one simple question. "Can I walk with you?" Such a small question. Such enormous consequences. "Thank you," Emma whispered to Riley as they stood together, watching the community celebrate this new beginning. "For what?" Riley asked. "For walking with me. Then. Now. Always." Riley smiled, that same warm, genuine smile that Emma had fallen in love with. "Always, my love. Always." Emma's story teaches us something powerful. Sometimes the worst day of your life is actually the universe's way of redirecting you to something better. Being abandoned doesn't mean you're not enough. It means someone else wasn't ready for all that you are. Love isn't about grand gestures or perfect circumstances. It's about someone stopping to ask, "Can I walk with you?" It's about showing up, every day, in big ways and small. It's about building a life together, not because everything is easy, but because you choose each other when things get hard. If this story touched your heart, here's what I need you to do. First, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss a story about real love, real struggle, and real triumph. Second, drop a comment telling me, have you ever had a terrible moment that led to something wonderful? I read every single comment, and your stories inspire me. Third, share this video with someone who needs to hear that their story isn't over, that their happy ending might be just around the corner, waiting at the moment they least expect it. Remember, you are enough. You are worthy. And your person, your Riley, is out there. Maybe they'll find you on your worst day and turn it into the beginning of your best life. Thank you for watching. Thank you for believing in love. And remember, sometimes being abandoned is just the universe's way of saying, trust me. I have someone better in mind for you. Until next time, keep believing in second chances, in unexpected love, and in the power of one simple question. Can I walk with you?